This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and this year we are saying thank you to therapists. BetterHelp therapists have helped over 5 million people worldwide on their mental health journeys. That's millions of stories and millions of journeys. Behind each one of them is a therapist who showed up, listened, and helped someone take that next step forward. Moments in therapy, like asking the right questions, having a safe place to get emotional or cry, or small wins, they can change lives. This World Mental Health Day, BetterHelp is honoring those connections and the therapists who make them possible while showing how easy it is to get guidance from a licensed therapist online with BetterHelp. I've been doing therapy for over 2 years and I couldn't recommend it enough. It's helped me so much with relationships with my friends, families, even myself. It's helped me understand myself better, and it's just made for such a better life. It really has. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for live sessions based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This World Mental Health Day, we are collaborating with those therapists who have helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you start that journey. Our listeners get 10% off of their first month at BetterHelp.com/PFF. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/PFF. The Falcons coming off a big Monday Night Football victory against the Buffalo Bills. They're traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. You want to talk about the Falcons, or you want to talk about the Niners here?
Well, I'm going to go the running back angle again, right? And I know for as much as it's what is it again? PFF hates running backs or whatever the old phrase is, but that's certainly
we think they shouldn't exist.
Yeah,
abolish the position entirely.
Right. But in the case of a few rare special exceptions like Josh Jacobs and like Bijan Robinson, sometimes we can absolutely love them and what they set up for the rest of their offense. So it's going to be a similar theme here. I think here's the thing. You're going to see with Tatum Bethune and D. Winters, the linebackers for the 49ers, after now this Fred Warner season-ending injury, you're going to see right away if they're up to the task, because they got to tackle Bijan Robinson, and that might be the hardest thing to do in football right now. 6th in the NFL among qualified running backs in PFF grade. That's part of that is due to just a couple of fumbles, honestly, that we ding you heavy for. If you're wondering why his grade was lower last week than you might think, it was an unofficial fumble on the first play of the game, and then it takes a lot of individual, like, separate runs to get positive grades, to get up in that 90s range, especially when you have a fumble on the record there. So, look, 6th best running back in football. I'm sure by the time we get into more weeks here, he might be 1st or 2nd on that list, but leading the league in yards per carry, leading the league in yards per reception, leading the league in combined missed tackles forced. Honestly, outside of the couple occasions this year where he's fumbled the football, he's been the best back in football. I'm not going to tell you any different, even when it comes to the narrow difference in grading and things like that. He's been outstanding, and look, if he can get up on these linebackers in the run game first with Tatum Bethune and D. Winters there, and then in the passing game where he's just been outstanding as a receiver, lining up wherever he needs to line up. It can be out of the backfield, or I've mentioned before the looks where they have a Charlie Werner in the backfield to pass protect and Bijan lined up out wide. It's a big thing. I think that's the first thing you have to look at as any opposing defense. Michael Penix has been a bit inconsistent. Drake London's obviously great. You have to have a plan for him, but where is Bijan Robinson at any given point, and how often are they going to give him the football? Because he is one of the elite offensive players in football. If you don't stop him, Buffalo learned that on Monday, you're probably not going to get very far.
No, there's no doubt about it. Obviously, you always have to account for where Bijan is on the football field. On the other side of things, it's reported that Brock Purdy could be back this week, but whether it's Brock Purdy or Mac Jones, I think that this point that I'm about to make stays the same no matter what. So when you look at the Atlanta Falcons, I wanted to take a look at how they generated pressures, because Jeff Ulbrich, their defensive coordinator, he has been more aggressive this year than I think he has been in years past. When you look at these last 3 weeks specifically from the Atlanta Falcons, they have a 58.1% pass blitz rate, which is 2nd most in the NFL. I believe it's only behind Brian Flores and the Minnesota Vikings. They have a 31.1% blitz percentage from the box, so from the linebacker level. That's 3rd highest percentage in the NFL. So when they are blitzing from the linebacker level. They're only 21st with a 9.1% on 6-man blitzes. So a lot of times they're only blitzing one extra player, and it is one of those linebackers, because they're very low on percentages of blitzes from the slot and from the cornerback position. So this is a team that's very aggressive right now, throwing pressure at the quarterback, and they're doing so from the linebacker level in the box. When you look at Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, both of these players have very quick time to throws and pretty good passing grades under pressure. When you look at Mac Jones's time to throw against pressure is like 2.5. Like it's really fast. And when you look at Brock Purdy, it's a little bit higher. It's like a 2.93. Well, actually, it's a 2.93 is the lowest that it's been in his career. I think this year it's actually a 2.7 for when he's been out on the field. I know he's missed a little bit of time. But his passing grade has been consistently in the 70s and 80s when you talk about passing grade under pressure when it comes from facing the blitz. And so all of that to say, blitzing, pressure, aggression has been the Falcons' bread and butter. They have been able to overwhelm offensive lines and quarterbacks when they have been doing that over the last 3 weeks. The Niners are pretty good with their quarterbacks and their offensive philosophy at mitigating those things. And so when you talk about the fact that they might get George Kittle back this week, they might get Ricky Pearsall back this week, right? They're getting a little bit more healthy. I'm actually taking the 49ers here in this one. Give me the 49ers. I can't remember what the line is on this game, but I'm going to take the Niners 27-23 because whether it is Mac Jones or whether it is Brock Purdy, both of these quarterbacks have been very decisive, confident, and have graded pretty well and performed pretty well against pressure. And I wonder what kind of a second half adjustment Ulbrich might have if they get really aggressive in the first half like they have been throughout the last couple of weeks and it doesn't work. What do you do then? I'm not so sure with that young defense they're going to have those answers to change things up and sort of out chess match the 49ers, especially with this game being all the way in San Francisco. So I'll go the 49ers here in this one.
Yeah, I think it's a great point about the pass rush because despite this team not having a guy at the level of a Micah Parsons or Myles Garrett or TJ Watt or somebody like that, they're doing it with a diverse array of options, right? Trev, 17 different guys have a pressure this year and 11 different guys have a sack. So, I mean, you look at just the creative ways and you have different players who can do a ton of different things. Caden Ellis has long been one of the more versatile players who can switch between edge and linebacker. Divine Diablo is blitzing at times. You know, Jalen Walker, he's the funny one because they haven't gotten too creative with him, but you absolutely could. Right now he's playing exclusively off the edge, but you could put him anywhere that you want to. Guys like Brandon Dorlus and Ruka Rororo inside, you've got a ton of different options that makes their front seven very fluid in pass rushing situations, and they're doing a good job of manufacturing. Certainly a lot better job of manufacturing a pass rush than they did last year, so that's a heavy credit to Jeff Ulbrich. I'm actually going to take Atlanta in this game, and I do think, again, it's because of Bijan Robinson, and I'm so worried now about this Fred Warner injury and him being out. That could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I know the Niners and Kyle Shanahan, they've done such an outstanding job of getting through these injuries and to so many different star players, right? All the offensive guys and Nick Bosa. But this is the one that really hurts in a matchup like this. And I think Bijan Robinson's the best player on the field again. I've got the Falcons 24-20. As long as Michael Penix can make, like he did last week, a handful of throws that move the chains on third down, I like where this Falcons offense is at right now.